What's up, fight fans? Thank you once again for coming through. Much appreciated. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'm just moving from every room in my house. I'm now in what I would call my second office. I'm here, but let's talk boxing for a second. Let's talk Lamont Peterson versus Errol Spence. Sorry, Errol Spence versus Lamont Peterson. Remember, this is Errol Spence's first defense of his IBF title that he won off Kell Brook. Fantastic performance in Sheffield last year. That was Errol Spence's one and only fight in 2017. I have a problem with that. A big problem. He had 2 fights in 2016. I have a problem with that as well. Those fights are good performances. Bundu and Algieri, 2 big stoppages that kind of propelled him onto the scene, right? 4 fights, I think, or 5 fights in 2015. And that's, to me, how active you should be. Especially if you're Errol Spence, you're young, you're fresh, you're good to go. I don't understand this 1 fight in 2017, 2 fights in 2016. He has come out and said he doesn't need a promoter. I think you do. I think you do. Al Heyman might be able to get you the fights in terms of the money fights, but in terms of a promoter to make sure you're active and busy, I think you might need a promoter. There are rumours that Eddie Hearn will sign him up. We'll see. Anyway, Errol Spence fights Lamont Peterson. They fight January 20th. And I have to admit, as much as I like Lamont Peterson, and I do, it's a stay busy fight. It really is. I mean, look, Lamont Peterson is tough. He's gritty. He's experienced. But the fact is, he's a 140-pounder. He's a 140-pounder fighting against what many people believe is a 154-pounder. And sometimes there are weight classes for a reason. Not only that, but every time Lamont Peterson has stepped up, and he has stepped up, he's lost, right? Matisse, I think, was a stoppage. Danny Garcia was a good fight, close, but he lost. Timothy Bradley lost. For me, you lost against Amir Khan as well, but you was given that one. And I think his biggest wins probably Kendall Holt. I'm trying to memory bank. His biggest win is Kendall Holt. So it's going to be a tough ask to beat someone like Errol Spence, who's riding this massive wave right now. Just for clarification, to me, I think a lot of people have Errol Spence as the best welterweight in the world. I don't. I still have that as Keith Thurman. I think a win against Kell Brook is good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I applaud you. Kell Brook, it was a good, tough, strong welterweight. But I think back-to-back wins against Danny Garcia and Sean Porter, unifying the titles is bigger for me. It's bigger. So I have Errol Spence a very, very close second, but I have Keith Thurman as number 1. Another thing I want to get as well is that a lot of people have Errol Spence in their top 10 pound for pound. I'm like, how does one win get you there? I mean, boxing shouldn't be that easy right now, and I feel like a lot of us fans, we almost go from heavyweight down to welterweight and stop. I don't know why that is, we stop. And I think there's so many good fighters below. Go and check out the flies, super flies, the bantamweights, super bantamweights, featherweights. There are a lot of fighters for me that deserve to be in the top 10 rather than Errol Spence. Not taking away from Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence is a great fighter. But I think we're too quick to crown people with these lofty titles. Is he the best welterweight in the world? Not for me yet. Is he a top 10 pound for pounder? Not for me yet. Will he be? Possibly. Possibly. I mean, he's a good fighter. I think he'll probably end up at 160. I believe he might go that far up. They have a problem with Errol Spence. They have a problem with him. See, sometimes skill and your strength and your power don't equal money in the bank. They don't. And I feel like this could be the problem for Errol Spence. I've seen Errol Spence do interviews. I've seen him up close and personal as well. So I've heard him talk. And look, I get that boxers have come and their one thing really is to box, right? That's it. That's all you're supposed to do. You're supposed to box, right? Every other sport, it's the same, right? I mean, if you're an NBA player, you don't have to come in and talk trash. You come in, you play your basketball, you get paid. Same as football, same as NFL. Why should boxers be any different? Why should boxers have to talk on the mic? Why? They're not WWE stars, but unfortunately you are. Unfortunately, it's an entertainment, and if you can't sell a fight, if you can't interest people enough to pay to want to watch you fight, then as good as you might be, you could stay unbeaten for the rest of your life. You might not make a few million. It's just the way it is. So do I feel Errol Spence needs to turn into Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather? Absolutely not. But I do think Errol Spence needs to start knowing how to promote his fights. He needs to want to make people interested in watching him. And I think right now, they're not. I don't even know if the average casual boxing fan knows too much about Errol Spence, and it's a shame, right? Because look, we're all talking about, or I say we, television are talking about the potential of Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. Errol Spence comes through this and Keith Thurman comes through his warm-up. The potential of those guys fighting in 2018, late 2018, maybe early 2019. There are a number of reasons why that fight should take place, but there's also a number of reasons why that fight probably won't take place. And the biggest reason is money. It's money. It's a super fight in terms of the welterweight division. And we're talking about potentially 3 belts on the line. That's massive. Forget Jeff Horn for a second. These are the big boys in the league. And both of those guys, for that type of fight, deserve hefty paychecks. We're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 million each. It doesn't get that. And the reason they don't get that is because it should be pay-per-view, but it probably won't be pay-per-view, or it will be, but it'll be a very, very low-selling pay-per-view because Errol Spence simply doesn't talk, and not many people know who Keith Thurman is. So this is almost a lesson for all these boxers. You've got to do a bit more. I remember I watched the first Kovalev versus Ward fight, and for me, arguably, that was one of the biggest fights in light heavyweight history. For me. I mean, people might say, Ade, shut the fuck up. But for me, I was so split on who was going to win that fight. The first fight. And I remember thinking this is a fight for the generations, a fight for the ages. I think it done like 84,000 views on pay-per-view. These guys have got to start to learn how to market themselves big time. I mean, it's all free right now. Start a YouTube channel. Do what Golovkin done. Golovkin started a YouTube channel. Do that. Be really active on social media. Maybe get yourself on some shows that no one, cook anything. I mean, Deontay Wilder is on some sort of Wives of Atlanta show. Smart. Do something like that. Do something. But anyway, back to Lamont Peterson, Errol Spence. Who do you guys think wins? No, in fact, fuck that. What round do you think Errol Spence wins? I think if it goes past round 5, 6, it could go